How to save your marriage while separated. This is Coach Lee, and I'm going to talk to you about this and things that you can do to hopefully rebuild some of that connection and even bring back some of the want to from your spouse. This is in no particular order, and some of the points are going to be more complex and helpful than others, so try to stick with the whole list and the whole video so you can get the most out of this. The first thing I suggest doing is to decrease the separation amount as much as possible. And what I mean, simply, we could be talking just about the distance that you're away. If you're in an apartment or a hotel or something, try to be as close to your home as you can. If it means staying in the house or the apartment and you have to stay in another room, if that's acceptable to your spouse, then do that. You want to be in as close proximity as you can to your spouse during this time. And so it's going to be really important, not just so that you can interact with your spouse, but also with any children that you might have together, and so that there can be more opportunities that can come up. When you're there and you're nearby, if there's time for family time, you all just happen to sit down together and have a meal or something, that can happen when you're nearby. But when you're not, you miss out on lots of opportunities to be able to rebuild and reattract your spouse and to have some of that family time together that's so important and so good for them to see. So keep that in mind. You don't want to be far away, and you want to be as close as you can be. In an ideal world, you two would not be away from each other. You would still be living together. That's where the odds are best. And so if it's at all possible to work toward that, then that would be ideal. So if you have plans to leave, if you have been the one who said, well, I'll leave, rethink that. Maybe even have another conversation with your spouse about that and say, I just don't want to leave. And try to keep things from becoming argumentative or negative. But if at all possible, stay with your spouse. Stay in the same house or apartment with your spouse, because that's when the odds are better. When you leave, the odds go down. And I'm going to talk about that more as this video goes on, so it's not hopeless, but that's what you need to know about proximity and living together. Number 2 is regular meetups or dates. If your spouse is agreeable to this, and this is something I do suggest that you seek, but try to have a regular night or lunch with them during the week where you two can be together and talk, even if it's just updating each other on the kids or matters like the house, money, things like that. Anything that you can update each other on, of course, and then try to have good positive interaction where you're talking with them, joking with them, maybe even being a little bit flirty. Try to bring up some shared memories that you do have, especially inside jokes. Just try in many ways to start over with them as though this is the second or third date, and you're asking questions about them, the facts, the feelings of their life, and you're having some fun with them to try to give them something to think about as far as, do they really want to leave this, or is this a good thing? And so if you can agree to that and have a regular day that you're going to be meeting each other, because what you don't want to have happen is that it's all up in the air and you may or may not see each other some, and it has to take a request from you and things like that. You want a sense of normalcy. You want some structure. And of course, you want the opportunity to be able to see them on a regular basis. And so that's something you really need to try for with your spouse. And so that's something you really need to try if you want to save your marriage while separated. Before I get to number 3, get my free mini course on saving a marriage in crisis. You can get it at marriageradio.com, and it's free, and it's a powerful guide to help you save your marriage. Again, that's marriageradio.com, and get my free mini course on saving a marriage. Number 3, this is difficult, especially if your spouse just wants none of it, but try to start working toward this, even with small steps, and that is to put together a shared plan to reunite. In other words, okay, so we're separated. How can we get back together? What needs to take place? Do we need to come to an understanding? Are there some issues that we do need to discuss? And that's tricky. You really need to be careful with that it doesn't just turn into a fight, but that it's constructive and that you have simple, understood answers of how those things can be resolved, if that's possible. But you need to have an understanding of, we are in this situation now, so what's it going to take for us to be in the same house again, the same apartment again, and to end the separation? Sometimes a spouse who's left or who's separated from you is not going to be willing to talk about that. And they might even say, under no circumstances. I know that that could be a possibility, but if it's not, if you can develop a plan and some actions that need to happen or things that need to be completed, then that's what you need to do, because ideally you want this separation to end as soon as possible. The longer that it goes on, the easier that it becomes for your spouse to get used to living a life without you, maybe even enjoying some of the relief from it and thinking that this is the way to go. And the attachment, the connection, the bond that you two have can also slowly fade as you two are separated. This is different from dating relationships. Keep that in mind. Marriage is different. And so in this case, you want this to be as short as possible, if it even needs to happen at all. And so if you're still in the home and you're planning on being separated, rethink that. Try to have some constructive, calm, positive conversations with your spouse and try to say, I don't want to do this. I don't think we need to do this, and discuss it with them and see if there's another way that's acceptable to them. But no matter what, if you're separated right now, try to take small steps, and it will take patience. But especially if you are having that regular date night together or you're seeing them on a regular basis, try to talk about this. What steps can we take? What plan can we make to actually end this separation and get back together? What needs to be done? Try to have that plan in place so that it's not just up in the air and there's no finish line here. Number 4, seek ways to be teammates. The reason I'm telling you this is because you want to have things that need you. The reason I'm telling you this is because you want to be needed and you want to be able to work with your spouse to actually accomplish some things. So the more that you can do together, the more things that need the two of you, the better, because it gives you an opportunity to be teammates instead of adversaries. You get victories together when these things happen. You can actually praise the other person. Great job with this. And they can do the same for you, hopefully. You get to interact with them. You get to show them your strength. You get to show them that you are capable. So there's all kinds of positives, but you want to look for ways, and you may need to get creative about this, but ways that you can do things together that need to be done in your life, that need to be done in your marriage, for your family, for your kids, for your home, for your apartment, for your business. There's all kinds of things. Try to find those things where you need to work together and you kind of have to, and make that a regular thing. That's a great way to be able to actually accomplish some things together, which is a bonding thing that you can do. And it's also a great way to just give you an opportunity to interact with them and to reattract them. So try to find those things. You want those to be regular things where you two get together and you do these things because they have to be done, right? You need to do them together, and this can be an opportunity for you. Number 5, in all of this, no matter what's going on, avoid negative interactions. That means avoid the fighting, the bickering, the criticism. Avoid that like the plague. Stay away from it. People will tell you, and I've even mentioned, you might have to go over some issues. That doesn't mean that you fight. That doesn't mean that you bring up negatives and that you attack or that you accept being attacked. Try to stand up for yourself without being negative. Just say something like, I really want us to be constructive here, and I'm doing my best. I want us to move forward. Let's really try not to be critical, and let's just see what we can do constructively. Say something like that if you have to, but avoid negative interactions. Avoid the fights. Stay miles away from them. Try to get good at seeing those things coming and avoid them because they're not going to serve you well at all. You want your spouse to see reasons to stay or to get back together, to see reasons why this marriage can work. And the more negative it is, the more anxiety it causes them, the more stress, the more frustration. They're just going to feel like they want relief and they want to be away from you. So when they are with you, when you do get to interact with them, do your absolute best to make it a positive experience for them. Ideally, you two would be laughing and talking and having a good time. And that may seem far-fetched, but it starts with one step. It starts with even just a kind word or a thank you or something like that, and try to just keep it positive. Have as many positive interactions as you can and avoid those negatives, and try to create those positive interactions. This is a little bit like what I was talking about with the teamwork idea. Try to allow and even to maybe make happen things where you two can be positive with each other. Maybe that's a meal with you, your spouse, and the kids, and it's just a good bonding experience for everybody. And hopefully your spouse is not going to be mean or attack you in front of the kids. And so it's a great way to kind of reprogram them in some ways. And I don't mean that literally, but you want to try to find positive interactions, even if it's only small ones, but you want to try to have those things and you want to avoid the negatives, because research has shown that for every negative interaction you have, it will take 6 positive ones just to balance it out. So that's another reason why you need to be disciplined and avoid the negatives as much as possible. Remember to get my free mini course on saving your marriage. It's free. It's really powerful and helpful. You can get it at marriageradio.com. Please like this video and subscribe if you'd like to see more content from me like this. This has been Coach Lee, and as always, thank you for watching.